The kampong at Jalan Wijaya, is that the name? Is that the name of the kampong, or did it have its own name?
Well, actually, the the that whole area actually we used to call it Kembangan area. So
Mm.
actually, it's like Kampong Kembangan. So
Mm.
the Kampong area, when people ask us, we will say Kampong Kembangan actually. Yeah, so
Right.
you had all the Kampong Kembangan, you had all the Lengkong Satu, Lengkong Dua,
Right.
and then you have all
Yeah.
the Pacitan Satu, Pacitan Dua. So these are like street names in Malay. So Street 1, Street 2,
Mm. Mm.
until like 12, things like that.
Right. Right. You can see here. There's Kampong Kembangan, right?
Yes,
Over
that's
here.
right.
So it's quite a large area. The whole
Yeah, I
kampong. Yeah.
mean the whole area actually encompasses, I would say, maybe towards uh, the Upper Changi Road. So one side, on the right side, is the Upper Changi, and
Mm.
on the other
Mm.
side, of course, you have Kampong Chai Chi. And then on the left side, if it's going towards, I would say, Kaki Bukit.
Right. And there's Kampong Eunos on that side,
Yeah,
right?
you
Yeah.
know, and then yeah, if you go
Mm.
upwards, it would be like the Kaki Bukit area.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's nice to see this map.
yeah, I was
Brings back a lot of nostalgia.
trying to Google it, and the only kampong, the only Jalan Wijaya is in JB now.
Yes, yes, that's right. I think I did a Google search once, and yeah, it was
Yeah.
actually in there is one in JB actually.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at some of the landmarks, right? There's a mosque here, there's a Chinese temple, another
Yeah,
mosque here. So,
yeah.
ethnically, what was the population living in Kampong Kembangan?
Well, actually, I would say all the races.
Mm.
So you you had a lot of Malays in this area.
Yeah.
You had Chinese,
Mm.
you had Indians, and you actually had quite a number of Eurasians actually.
Mm.
So we actually moved to Jalan Wijaya in I think 1965 or 66. And before that, actually, my family was living
Mm.
uh, on another street close to Jalan Kembangan, which is Jalan Lapang. So if you look at the name Kampong Kembangan, slightly below, horizontally, there's one street called Jalan Lapang, Lapang.
On the opposite side, is it? Or
So
the
you
same
see,
side?
right on top, you have the name Kampong Kembangan.
Yeah.
And if you just look slightly below that, there's one street. So you have Kampong Kembangan, you have Jalan Krian, and then the street which is parallel to Jalan Krian is Jalan Lapang.
Okay. Right
Yeah.
here.
So
All right.
my family, my they actually lived in a house there, and then in I think 65 or 66 we moved to Jalan Wijaya. We have actually been living in that area. Yeah, I mean
All
since
right.
the mid early to mid 60s actually.
Was that at Jalan Lapang? Was that also a atap house, a wooden house?
Yeah, it was like an atap house
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
So at that stage, actually, my brothers actually told me that much earlier, actually, you actually also had some Caucasians actually living in that area. So you actually had, the British forces. There were some people. I mean, a lot of them were living in some of the other traditional areas like Naval Base or Serangoon Gardens or Portsdown. But there were a couple of families. But by the mid to late 60s, a lot of them moved out, and like quite a few of the Eurasian families in our area also. Um, we do have some of them who actually migrated to Australia.
Mm.
So by the early 70s, yeah, it was more, I would say, Malays, Chinese, Indians, with just a handful of Eurasians. But it has always been like a very mixed, I
Mm.
would say, mixed culture. And of course, growing up, you I had friends of all races.
Mm.
And when I was a kid, I actually picked up Hokkien. I don't know how. I guess the
Mm.
fact that I was hanging out with a lot of Chinese kids, and a lot of them were speaking Hokkien. And as a kid, you just pick it up just like that. So
Yeah.
I actually spoke Hokkien to some of them. And of course, after that, my Hokkien sort of dropped off quite a bit. But when I was when I was doing my national service, in fact, with some of the soldiers, actually, I actually had to communicate with them in Hokkien because some of them couldn't actually speak in English. And in fact, my Hokkien picked up a bit when I was doing my national service. And then, of course, I mean, speaking Malay, you speak Malay, and in school, actually, as the second language, I studied Malay in school. So, but yeah, I mean, growing up there was always uh, it it was very nice in the sense that I mean, during the festivities,
Mm.
if it's Hari Raya Puasa, your Malay Muslim friends will invite you to their place. If it's Chinese New Year, your Chinese friends will invite you to their place. And then, it's, for example, during Christmas, we will invite our friends over to our place. So very communal. And where I lived in Jalan Wijaya, I recall it as a kid, a lot of the houses, they didn't close their doors, so sometimes we'll be playing like police and thief or hide and seek, and we will literally be running through a house because their front door be open, their back door be open, and you can just run across. But for us as a kid, it was normal, and for them, I mean, of course, some families were not too happy about that, but most people actually tolerated us. So interesting, actually, in that sense, when you think about it, now.
Right. Of course, 1964 is the year or so when there were two very serious race riots in
Yes,
Singapore.
yes,
Were there
64 and
any
69.
kind of like racial tension ever you felt in your kampong?
I I guess maybe I was maybe too young
Mm.
to really appreciate, I mean, things like tensions, perhaps people maybe for a short while may have kept their distance. But I mean, when I was like really, I mean, uh, conscious of things in the early 70s, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any like resentment by
Mm.
one race against the other, for example. Everyone sort of tolerated each other. I mean, again, you may have people who avoid another group, but as far as I can see, I didn't know. And of course, being a kid, perhaps they're more lenient towards you, and they perhaps give you face. So as a kid, I didn't feel. I mean, I felt that I could speak to my Chinese neighbors, my Malay neighbors, my Indian neighbors freely, and most of them treated us very well.